The way to get your child to talk is not what you think. I know what it's like when you try to talk to your child and nothing seems to be working. Today, I'm gonna show you exactly how to make any toddler communicate or say their wants and or needs. I'll do this by showing you one, common language strategies, two, my own strategy called the 3 key points, and three, how to support children and their capacities at a young age. And this will help you see language opportunities anywhere. So who am I? My name's Jose. I'm a licensed pediatric speech therapist. I've been practicing for a few years now, and I've been obtaining results not just with my patients, but also receiving praise from their parents and their teachers. I've been studying and continue to study evidence-based practices related to speech therapy, plus I have a background in psychology. So this gives me all the understanding and skill set to obtain the desired result, which is communication. We actually help parents, family members, caregivers, and even other therapists learn the best strategies to use to help kids communicate. So if you're looking for help, please stick around where I'll share with you my insights to how to help a small child communicate. Let's begin. We're gonna be talking about language strategies, but I wanna show you where they're coming from. First, I don't do talking. Rather, I follow the child's lead. I focus on their overall needs. So over the years, I've studied different evidence-based approaches, like from the Hannon Center, the Play Project, DIR floor time, the natural language acquisition, you name it, I've studied it. What I've come to realize is the most important ingredient in all of these approaches are parents and caregivers. People that will support the child develop their language with these language strategies that I'm about to go over. You don't need to be a therapist to help a child communicate. You just need to understand how connection fuels communication and how to create the space for it to happen. Because when people picture speech therapy, they'll think of structured activities, rigid goals, endless repetition, and that's not what we want because those aren't the moments that help the child flourish in communication. The most meaningful progress happens in moments that don't even look structured at all. Later in this video, I'll show you exactly what's going on in children's brains during the playful moments and why they often lead to faster, more natural communication growth than traditional compliance-based speech therapy. Let's begin. The first language strategy we'll go over is modeling. With modeling, you're basically gonna narrate what's going on. So at this point, maybe they're making some noises, they're pointing, they're at least looking at certain things. That's how you get an idea of what to narrate. Let's say there's a car on a track. You could actually narrate the car goes fast. The car, that car is red. Anything relevant that has to do with the situation. The next one is called expansion. It's where you expand on whatever the child says or points to. If your child says car or points to the car, then you can say, yes, the toy car is on the track. So you want to add a little bit more to the idea that they're trying to convey already. The next one is extension. It's similar to expansion, but what you do here is that you add other concepts to it. So if they point to the car, you could say the car goes fast, whoosh, to simulate speed. Or if it's on a track, you could say the car goes up and it goes down. And you model these actions so that they know how to label the words with the action that's going on. The last one here is my favorite one. It's called sabotage. Sabotage, it does require a little bit of patience, but basically you take a situation in a routine and you omit the last step. Maybe it's bath time, you get all the toys in the bathtub, but you don't turn on the water and you wait. You wait and you wait until you hear some sort of expression, whether it's a grunt, or a point, or maybe even a word comes out. It might even look like a scream or a cry. And it's okay as long as you're there and it's a secure environment, the child's gonna be all right. So that's what we want. We want a reaction. We want some sort of communication to come out when they identify that the situation has been sabotaged. And within all of these language strategies, it's very important to avoid asking questions. So we wanna comment and dictate more than make it feel like an interrogation, because that's actually very overwhelming and very intimidating for the child because they're expected to speak when they're not really ready. So try to comment as much as possible and limit the question. And once you learn these, you're ready for the strategy that I use, that I came up with, called the 3 key points. So keep in mind that communication can be as simple as joining attention and sharing a space, sharing a moment with each other. And that's the minimum that we're going for. If there's sounds, gestures, or words involved, then that's just a plus, and that'll get everything moving in the right direction. Now, the caveat here is, again, we're just looking to maintain one shared attention on one common stimulus. All we're going for. When I'm sitting on the floor, following a child's lead, or pretending to be a dinosaur popping bubbles, it might look like we're playing, but really it's much deeper than that. We're building attention, motivation, and connection. And those three things are the foundation of language. And this is what I call the delicate 3 key points. Attention comes first, as it's the spark, right? This is the way that we can enter the child's world. To build attention with the child, we must first understand what provokes a child to capture their attention. We want to consider too how easily we can get their attention and how long we can sustain it for. Next, we want to consider the motivations for the child to interact with us and try to leverage the environment or the situation to help the child want to interact with us as much as possible. Lastly, we focus on arguably the most important part, which is the connection. And this is the connection involved in the activity itself and how to form a strong socio-emotional bond in the moment of play. This is so that the subsequent play sessions can flow more organically and be a little bit more predictable as well. In short, hug them, laugh with them, share affection. This is how to show them how to create a connection. Now I'll get into what I consider the different levels of the 3 key points using different examples. So level 1 is this right here. It would be something like a YouTube video or a game on a screen. So the entry may seem easy at first, but all the effort required to maintain it long term may reveal otherwise. Of course, not all kids are enamored by video games or a screen, but the majority definitely are. Applying the 3 key points here could work best by combining a video or a song and dance routine and reproducing the same sounds and visuals in real life. So this could be a song, sing it to them in person. Or if it's a child-friendly video with different actions and movements like ducking and jumping, simulating with some sort of objects, maybe your arm, maybe like a ball, so that they also duck and jump in real life. You could also play alongside the child, watching the video or playing the game, and using these language strategies to pause and play and interact directly with the child. But level 1 isn't all-encompassing, and it's where most parents and caregivers stay stuck. The problem is with this surface level engagement, it's as easy to gain as it is to lose. So you can definitely get their attention on a shared stimulus, but you might not get that strong of a motivation to stay or even a connection with you. Now look, the motivation to interact with the adult is defeated by whatever's going on the screen. And the connection there with the adult is unreliable and it's really loose. So unfortunately, us adults may not beat the motivation that there is behind a screen. So kids may prefer to look at the screen than to interact with us, and that's when we lose out on all. So let's think of what levels 2 and 3 would look like. Level 2 would be a toy that has a specific action that can be repeated in a controlled environment. So one example is what I have on the screen right here, is one of those toys that you can make the car go down the ramp and do that repeatedly. These toys can elicit interest almost immediately, and these actions can be repeated in a controlled environment to really support language. Plus, since these toys are 3-dimensional, it's easy for the adult to go in and intervene and establish and support more of a back and forth interaction. Another example could be a toy with like light up buttons, or a toy with removable pieces that make sound effects once they move in and out. I see these as auxiliary attention grabbers, which help with the initial interest, but it is up to the adult to continue the actions and really make it fun. This is where the best opportunities arise to support language, because we can create conditions to both teach and demonstrate language, or to enable language communication, given that these toys are more attention grabbers, but but knowing full well that attention may slip, so adult intervention is needed to continue making it fun. So now we lead into level 3, or as I like to call it, hard mode. So this is with like minimally stimulating toys or items. This could be as simple as a stuffed animal or a book, even like a piece of tissue. Now let's put an asterisk on books because some kids find them very interesting, but sometimes you might need to present it to them several times in order for them to actually start being interested. Anyway, more examples could be like chopsticks, a shoe, a bottle cap, things like these. Just very simple objects that you need a lot of creativity, but not that much space to work with. Lastly, an example could be even the human body or the environment around it. It could be in the form of tickles, could be in the form of walking slowly to them, creating suspense. Could be more of a strenuous sense, like actually picking them up. Maybe they like to go up and down or spin around. This would be what we like to call providing movement stimulus or vestibular sensation, which we'll go over in a sec. This could even appear like tapping on the surface of an item or a big object and creating a game around the tapping. It could look like opening a closet door and closing it, and opening and closing it. It could even be jumping off a couch into your arms. Really, any action with an item, a person, a surface that requires full support from the adult in order for the child to get a fully captivating experience. Again, the goal with the 3 key points is simply to establish an activity to get their attention on. It could be 5 minutes, it could be 30 minutes. As long as there is attention exerted, then we can apply these language strategies to enrich those areas of the brain. Now, this may require forehand knowledge of the child's sensory preferences, and this is where we get into their capacities. In short, a sensory preference is a preferred experience via any of these senses of the body. So it could be visual, auditory, olfactory, gustatory, or tactile. Now, these are just the first 5 basic senses, and we all have this to a certain extent. But there's a few more that you may not know about, so I'll go into them right now. The last 3 are probably the least recognizable ones, so I'll go over them. Vestibular refers to how the body processes speed and movement of the body. This is through the inner ear and works in tandem with the visual sense as well. Sometimes kids will seek to run around, jump, bounce, and we can interpret this as them wanting to satisfy these vestibular sensational needs. So the next one, proprioception, refers to the muscles and joints of the body. So really feeling tight pressure. This could be in the form of like a weighted blanket or even in the form of stimming with the hands, like that. The last one is called interoception, and this is the internal sensation of the body's physiological needs. So these are things like hunger, urination, temperature, waking up. So in these cases, these children and frankly adults may need an alarm clock to wake up or feel emotional states more intensely. So whether it's a visual stimulus like playing a mini golf game and interacting with the child, or an auditory stimulus like a song to sing along. Maybe it's a tactile stimulus like Play-Doh or slime, an olfactory or a gustatory stimulus to get a delight response, a vestibular stimulus to get a onomatopoeia, a proprioceptive stimulus to get a response, maybe in the form of a tickle, or an interoceptive stimulus to get a response such as potty time or hunger. Your end result will be like a box of chocolates. You know what sometimes you'll get? You won't know what you're always gonna get. And that's the beauty of it. You'll be ready for it when it happens. And that's how to get your child to communicate. Remember, we're starting with sharing attention. Then you're building a strong foundation for motivation. From here, you'll build a foundation to get more of this communication going between you and the child. It could look like gestures, sounds, or even words. Think something like laughter comes before words. So let's just aim for laughter and joy and having a good time together. And this all translates perfectly well into the home environment. It's built around real life, real play, and real relationships. It's perfectly aligned with their interests and preferences, making it easier for them to want to communicate. When we stop making kids perform and actually meeting them where they're at, we create something way bigger than just speech. If you want help putting this into practice with your own child, we work directly with parents and even caregivers and therapists to watch their kids' language boom. You can learn more through the link below.